Good evening once again, and welcome to the second portion of this evening's Candidates Forum. My name is Faith Morrison, and I will serve as moderator. Tonight's forum is sponsored by the Legal and the Voters of the Copper Country. We would like to thank the Houghton Portage Township High School for the use of their auditorium, and a special thank you to all of you for coming here and participating. At this time, I request for you to turn off your cell phones and other devices. No cameras or recorders are permitted other than those authorized by the League. The League will be recording this event tonight, and it will be available for viewing on our website, lwvccmi.org, and on our Facebook page. In accordance with FCC rules, it will be shown unedited and in its entirety. If you have questions for the candidates this evening, we ask that you write them on the 3x5 cards provided. Clearly printed questions will be much appreciated. League members are available to give you a card or pick up your question. Please raise your hand. Let them know that you have a question to be collected, and they'll bring them to the front here. I also ask that audience members to please be respectful of the candidates and refrain from clapping, booing, commenting, or making other signs of support or lack of support for the candidates during this evening's forum. We invited and received RSVPs from two candidates running for 4 Portage Towns, 2 candidates out of the 7 running for 4 Portage Township Charter Trustee positions. We only have one candidate here present, John Ollila. Dale Bellinger hasn't shown up, although he said he would make it. If he arrives, we will invite him to the stage and have him join. Under normal circumstances, the League prefers to only schedule forums that in which there are candidates of both parties present, but we will proceed with this forum after having considered the option. We also have one of 2 candidates running for Portage Charter Township Supervisor, Bruse Petersen, and he is here. These 2 candidates, note, are not running against each other for the same positions, but they are both running to serve in Portage Township. Both candidates will be responding to the same questions. Please keep that in mind as you frame questions for the candidates that will ask them for both. And we have a preference for questions that would be appropriate for both candidates. The candidates will have an opportunity to present a 1-minute opening statement. And they will then answer questions that we have prepared, but that are also coming up from you. And there will be a 1-minute closing statement at the end. So we have timers in the front row who have paddles to let the candidates understand when they're running out of time in their response. And then you'll also hear a beeper go off, and then that means that the 1 minute for answering that question has elapsed. Our candidates have drawn numbers to determine who goes first, and Mr. Ollila will be going first, and then followed by Mr. Petersen. And the way we will go back and forth is to alternate who answers the question first. And so once a candidate has been the second person to answer the question, they'll hold on to the mic and be the first one next time. And that way, that sort of cutting the water, hard work, will pass from one candidate to the next. Okay, so that's all the advanced material. We're ready to go. And so I'm ready for the opening statement from Mr. Ollila.
Is this on? Yes. Okay. My name is John Ollila. I'm running for.
Name it right at your mouth.
We're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm John Ollila, running for Portage Township Trustee. I was first elected to this position back in 2008. Running for another term. Since I've been on the board, I have been consistently on the Personnel Committee, the Recreation Committee, and the Cemetery Committee. I work with the zoning ordinance a lot because I'm working with the Planning Commission to update and modernize the zoning ordinance, and that would be my main task in continuing with the board, is to see the zoning ordinance is updated and rewritten and modernized. So that's it for my opening statement. That's my main goal.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Well, I'm Bruse Petersen. I'm the Portage Township Supervisor. I've been serving in that stead since 2010. Before that, I worked with the USDA, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, in a four-county area, of which one of my counties was Oakland County. So I got a great expansive exposure to environmental and conservation problems while working for those 20 years with the USDA that has served me in good stead for almost 15 years that I've served on in this position. All told, I probably have about 50 years experience in public service, and I'd very much like to continue representing Portage Township as the supervisor in this next term.
All right, thank you very much. So, we can see, Mr. Peterson's figured out the system already. You just hang on to the mic after you second, and thank you very much for helping out. All right, the first question, why did you decide to run for the job?
Why? I had a number of people call me up and tell me that I should continue running because of some of our successes in the recent history. I thought I was good for the position. So I asked my wife, and she said, I'll sign your petition. A couple other people came across the street and said, I'll sign your petition. And so I made the deadline by 20 minutes. So I'm running again because I feel I have something to bring to the township, and I'm still anxious and still energetic and want to pursue it.
So I first ran for the township office because I went to a township meeting where there was a topic, the Build River Watershed Project, that I had interest in. And one of the members on the board, the vote was 5-2 to have a public hearing to get more information. One of the members who was in favor of it asked the two people who voted no why they would vote no to have a public hearing. And I was in the audience and asked the same question, and the answer I got was, I'm not at liberty to say. And I viewed that as being total nonsense, and that is what determined me to run for the board, was if someone is in the audience and has a question they should want to ask, we as township elected officials should answer them.
Thank you. All right, the next question. Portage Charter Township has a zoning ordinance in effect. Should zoning continue in the township? Why or why not?
Great question. I am the current zoning administrator. Bill Bingham and I used to do it together. He had to step down. Surgery didn't go well, and I've been doing it solo for the last 4 years. Township been zoned since '83. It's a large success. People respect it. 90+% people follow the rules. They realize that the township's divided into certain districts where the uses for those districts are prescribed by code. And it means, for instance, that if you live in Dodgeville, you can't raise pigs next to your neighbor who would not like to have pigs next to them. So zoning is a big success. I anticipate it to continue. And as I said earlier, I'm working with the Planning Commission to update and modernize the zoning ordinance. I have a uncanny memory for text, and I'm very helpful in that process. So zoning will continue.
Thank you.
Well, our zoning ordinance is predicated on our master plan. And we update that, whatever, 5 years, 5 years. So what it does is it lays the groundwork for our zoning manual, and it also identifies what the rationale was employed for our planning and zoning. And that assists, if we're ever taken to court, if we're ever challenged, it assists that judge or that administrative law judge on how to rule based on the rationale that was employed by the township in its zoning ordinance. So I think that is a real beneficial thing and a tremendous protection that we all have to benefit the township.
Thank you. All right, a very specific question, Green Acres Superior Road traffic. This road is very busy and one of the main arteries to and from Portage. It's in poor condition. Are the huge noisy commercial trucks that are on that road paying any percentage for the upkeep, maintenance, snow removal, and should they?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Are the huge noisy commercial trucks that are using the road paying for the upkeep, maintenance, and snow removal? And if not, shouldn't they be, or should they?
Well, let's get back to, right now, we are not in charge of our road system. The Houghton County Road Commission is in charge of the road system and the drainage that's associated with it. So we can make recommendations and we can offer suggestions to the road commission about what roads need to have repair, what signage might need to be put up. So we don't have much to say about the road usage. The road commission does because they're the ones that have the authority over that and seasonal load limits and what have you. So I wish we had more to say about it, but we're not funded and we don't have much to say about it. It's the road commission.
I should have mentioned earlier, actually on the road committee too. We learned last January, every year we put our wish list in for the county for what roads we'd like to have addressed. And Bruce and I both been on the board a long time. We did not know till this January that the county's priorities are based on the type of funding they have available, which is why the Tapiola Road is being done now. We thought Superior Road was going to be addressed in 2004. It's been backed off till 2007. So all roads in Portage Township are county roads. All speed limits are set by the state and the county. We can put it in a request list, but we have little say. We do have a road millage now in Portage Township, and we will have money with our taxable value. We're gaining $300,000 or $400,000 a year with a road millage to apply to roads that aren't addressed by the county.
Is there a way of saying a few more words about this?
Only in the closing statement. Or you can work it in with another question if it fits. All right, moving on to the next question. Next topic is school of choice. The Houghton Portage Township schools are considering a bond issue to grow the school's facilities in order to accommodate the growing student enrollment. 35% of HTPS school are school of choice or out of district students. What's your position on school of choice and also charter schools?
Interesting question, since I'm a retired high school teacher. I taught at Union Trail Creek, and we were the lawsuit that first brought this thing to the forefront. Wakefield School District was running a bus into the Union District to bring students of Berglund to Wakefield. Didn't want to go to Union. On the other hand, we had kids from Watersby coming to us because our academics were so much better. I hear many people complain that those people who are educating the kids here, their taxes don't go here, but the state per diem for student does follow a student. It is the system. I personally don't have any problem with it. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, I'm coming from an educational background too. My wife was a first grade teacher for 23 years. I think the Houghton Portage schools have to take great pride in their placement and their students into four-year colleges, two-year technical colleges, what have you. This success, this school of choice success is sort of a two-pronged deal. As what John said, our taxpayers are paying for this success by the enhancement and need for their classrooms. By the same token, I think it's that second Friday, that student count is going up. So it's a two-pronged beneficial deal here that I'm very pleased with the success of the Portage schools.
All right, thank you. The next question. Portage Charter Township is heavily urban in the north and quite rural in the south. How does this affect range of services the township must provide?
In the north, we have, we abut the city of Ollila. So this new jail center, this annexation that has just occurred, would have, a marked impact on things going on up north. We also have a lot more buried infrastructure that, of which we have pipelines that are cast iron that are 1938 vintage. And to find funding and to pursue the repair and maintenance of those kind of facilities up north is a daunting challenge. The challenge down south is to have representation. We go down to Pelkey and we have meetings to hopefully to get people up to tell us their views and their concerns. So it's really a geographic distance thing, I feel, for the residents, our constituency in the south.
One of the odd things we have as a township, we have two fire departments. We have the Petersen Fire Department, which serves the north end, and the Otter Lake Fire Department, which serves the south end. Petersen has the Jaws of Life. Otter Lake runs an EMS because the ambulances up here don't go that far south, and they've been transported to Berger Hospital. One of the unknown facts is that Southern Portage Township has had the best internet in the county for years, and it's finally been brought further north. So this summer got fiber optic, which has been there in Southern Portage Township forever. And as zoning guy, I can attest that the building down there is massive. Families that a couple that have moved here, for instance, from LA, they have their LA salary. And the guy says, I can, breathe the air and I can see the stars, and I don't care if I get snowed in every day, because they have their same jobs they had in LA or Colorado and living in Southern Portage Township. So it works.
All right, next question. What is one problem you look forward to improving or resolving in your next term?
I'm gonna let Bruce talk about water sewer. I've been the zoning administrator for a while. The zoning ordinance, which was adopted way back in '83, in the field, I'm the person who finds out that there are instances which occur in real life that are no longer mirrored by the zoning ordinance. For instance, there was still language in there about when Portage Township used to have its own building inspector, which is now all done by the county. So I'm the person who ferrets out the inconsistencies and language sections that need to be updated, and I work with the planning commission on doing that. I made sure we had the funding in the budget for them to hire expert outside assistants, which they have done, and I look forward to getting the zoning ordinance updated, modernized, and completed quickly.
Just a quick statement about that question also, that the southern part of Houghton County is such a geographically removed area. We have now funded Bay Ambulance to help service that area. And that is a great benefit, and they receive funding for transporting the people from that neck of the woods. The big problem I foresee is our 1938 cast iron line that comes down from Adams Township. Comes down on the M26 corridor, and if you look to your left, by the landscaping business, you'll see a lot of wetlands. Well, in my opinion, those wetlands are there because that line is leaking. And about every second or third year, we have a major break of that line. And the line is about 60-inch diameter line. It's, I'm seeking funding, that's what I would like to see attempted to get done in the next term, would to get that replacement of that line put in to provide a constant water source to our hydrosphere and our residents.
Perhaps a related question. Several areas of Portage Charter Township are served by water and sewage services the township operates. Can you discuss how the extra costs of operating water and sewage services brought about by uncontrolled infiltration should be handled?
Well, we have a contract that is just a $3.2 million contract that went to Danielson, and we expanded our sewer system. Part and parcel of that contract was the sealing of about either between 10 to 14 manholes that had infiltration going into them. Sealing, they were being routed from the inside. So that was part of the contract that was let for the Danielsons to not only put sewer service in, all along M26 and down Green Acres Road and Sherman Road, but to address this infiltration issue with the grouting of these manholes. So that's one of the things we're addressing. We've had smoke tests and we've identified where the problems are, and there were only a few, and they're being addressed by this contract.
I was the person on the board who made the motion to raise base rates for Portage Water Sewer, Dakota Water Sewer by $5 per month until the deficit is gone. The water sewer rates have not been raised for quite a few years, even though Adams raised their water rates to us. We buy our water from Adams, and we did not pass those increases on. Cost of materials, salaries, pipe, all of this has gone up, and we've not increased the rates. And we do have a deficit in water sewer, and my point of view has always been that the people who live rurally in Portage Township should not be subsidizing the water sewer system for here in town, Dodgeville, and number 2 location. So they have to pay their own costs.
All right, next question. What are some decisions you've been proud to make in your role as trustee or supervisor as appropriate?
Hard to come up with that off the spot. I guess the 2 biggies are, the 2 recent biggies are, we have finally raised the water sewer rates, which will help that issue. We did prevail in the frivolous lawsuit brought against the development of the Onaming because of the strength of our zoning ordinance. That took a lot of time and effort. Bruse, more than I, has to deal constantly with FOIA requests, which are a drain on everybody, and we now have a system where we do that. I should say at this time that we do have a very capable board. None of us socialize together, and we have delegated duties that kind of mirror our strengths. So we are in good shape going forward.
Thank you. The next.
Let's want me to answer this.
Yep, I do.
You know what John said about the Onaming case, and we also prevailed in the, when I first took office, was the Valley View aggregate case. So we've been, I guess, blessed with a good track record administratively that judges could review and look at. So that's been very beneficial. I think one of the things is, staff selection. We just hired a new young man for our Department of Public Works. And, we had numerous meetings over how to fill that position. And I think we've got a tremendous candidate, and, it's nice to get at least a good cross-section and at least a few good candidates. And if you select the right one, it makes you feel good and it's working out well.
Thank you. All right, the next question. Portage Charter Township has a millage in effect to support road maintenance. What's the best way to allocate these funds?
How the funds used?
What is the best way to allocate these funds?
Well, as John said earlier, we as a township have different rationale when we look at a road than the Fulton County Road Commission. They try to get as much work done with the available kinds of funds that they have. So that's their major idea. We're looking at it solely as a conditional criteria. So this road millage allows us, it's about 180,000 a year. It allows us to bring up and have a local match, which gives us a lot more presence with the Fulton County Road Commission. And when we say we'd like to see Denton Road or Gaffney Road addressed, we can use this road millage for our local match, which gives us sort of an extra step up with our prioritization of our roads.
And I would think I'm correct in correcting Bruce here. The first year we had millage, it was like 180, next year like 250, last year 300,000. Taxable value of the township is increasing so much that the road millage at 2 mills is generating more money for that purpose every year. Only roads like, say, I live on Elsie Road or Denton Road, these lateral roads, which aren't strictly, county never gets any funding for those. So those are the type of road that our road millage will be dedicated to. And we do have a Denton Road, on the docket for next year. And then we will be accruing our road millage funds, for the next project down the road. But the funds with our taxable value are increasing every year. I think we're in good shape.
All right, next question. What are the most important challenges facing our community and how do you propose to address them?
Would you repeat that, please?
What are the most important challenges facing our community and how do you propose to address them?
We have a lot of building in the area, a lot of it from people moving here because we're a great place to live. And people who are buying an existing property or building something new go on the tax rolls for current value, whereas those of us like me who have lived here and owned the house forever are amount of tax required taxable value because it was basically frozen in time in 1995, would seem disproportionately low compared to those people. So there is some bitterness about that. And people forget that rule law was put into place to prevent old people who are now a member of being driven off the property because of taxes. It does become uncapped when the property is sold, but that is a gripe we have continuing in the township. Who has the mic now? I forgot.
You were the first to speak, so pass it on.
And the question again was?
Sure. It was, what are the most important challenges facing our community and how do you propose to address them?
Well, we've mentioned this at least a couple of times, and that is our buried service lines, sewer and water lines that are degrading over time. And as labor costs and material costs go up, it's very challenging to keep these things repaired and or renewed, expanded. And how you can best go about it is working closely with your consulting engineer, in which we We have some consultants through UPEA. And they assist us in writing grants that go to the USDA rural development. And we get some partial grant, and some partial out and out payment that, you know, to help assist us in the construction and maintenance and repair work needed for all of our infrastructure. So it's imperative that we work closely with our consulting engineers and write successful grants to address this issue.
Thank you. All right, I have just one more question, and I'll ask you each to answer it, and then we'll move on to closing statements. And so the final question is, what is your education background, and how will it help, and how does it help you to serve the community as your Portage Township Supervisor or Trustee?
Well, I graduated from the University of Wisconsin in '74 with a Bachelor of Science degree. I then worked for 6 years for 2 Department of Natural Resource entities, one in Indiana and one in Washington State. While in Washington State, I got a Master's of Public Administration degree from Lewis and Clark College in Portland. I then spent the next 30 years working with the USDA, the Natural Resource Conservation Service, working in engineering and formal federal contracting, hydrology, you name it, which has become very beneficial to what I do. And the last 14 plus years, I've been the Township Supervisor and had many character building experiences and numerous amounts of education from those 14 years. So that's my educational background.
I have an undergraduate degree from Tech in '69 in biology and chemistry. I then did almost 4 years of alternate service in an adjunct to Northwell State Mental Hospital in lieu of going to Vietnam. During that time, I read voraciously when I was living in Ann Arbor, and then immersed myself in the study of literature. So I have a graduate degree in English Lit, of all things. I have taught at Michigan Tech in the Humanities Department, at Lansing Community College in the Communication Arts Department. At age 33, I went back to pick a high school teaching certificate, and when you do things backwards, the state chooses your minors and majors. So I'm secondary certified in Michigan in biology, chemistry, math, physics, and English. I have been really handy at the township board for proofing, editing, and writing our ordinances, letters, and documents. I am really good at that.
Especially my stuff. Oh.
I agree with Bruce.
Thank you very much. So we've now concluded the questions to the candidates, and we'll move on to the closing statements. My notes say that Mr. Ollila started us off with opening statements, so we'll start with Mr. Petersen for closing statements.
Well, like you said, I've been at this for nearing 15 years. I'm very much like to continue service to the Charter Township of Portage. I'm still energetic and enjoy doing what I do there. It's a very diverse job. Every day is different, which I find appealing. I even enjoy working with John here and the board in general. We have a good mix of people, and it's very pleasant to be able to get up in the morning and meet and greet these people and get projects completed. So I'd like to continue my service to the township, and that's my closing statement.
All right, so that concludes this.
No.
Oh, yeah, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Now, Mr.
So this, if I'm reelected, this would be my 5th term. This will be my last. I'm not going to be turning 80 and be on the township board. So I'm the oldest guy on the board. But I concur with Bruce that we have an excellent board. We're diverse, very different opinions, different backgrounds. That results when we do all things, when we air all things publicly, we come up with pretty good decisions and procedures to accomplish stuff. And I definitely have the energy for it. Bruce is energetic, I'm hyperactive. We're okay there. And I would like to see both the zoning ordinance and master plan completed, while we have the current, I'm gonna interject something here. So my greatest success on the board is I have gotten other people to volunteer to be on committees like boards review, planning commissions and all that. People like having me on the board. So I said, what do you want and what can you do? What will you do? I've gotten other people to volunteer.
All right, so there we go. Now we have concluded the questions and the statements from the candidates. And that concludes this evening's forum. I wish to thank the candidates and Houghton Portage Township High School, the legal and voters of the Copper Country, the timers from the league in the front here, Barry Fink and Vicki Bergvall. Out front, we had David Nitz reading and giving literature out front. Our screeners tonight were Christine Bradoff and Taryn Mason. Our pages tonight, taking your questions up to the front, were Mary Marchetair, Elizabeth Benny, and Joan Chatty. And of course, thanks to you all in the audience who took the time to come tonight to learn about your candidates. We hope that those of you in the audience have found this evening informative and helpful. Please make your voices heard by voting in the Tuesday, November 5th general election. The absentee ballots are available already as of today, and there's 9 days of early voting in your county at the same location that's been in the recent election. The state voters guide produced by the League of Women Voters and the local voters guide are both originally part of 411.org. So online, you can get a version of the voters guide at any time. It's already up and running, and it will be updated if additional candidates choose to answer. The completeness of the voting material provided by the League of Women Voters as a service to the community is only as good as the candidate's willingness to submit their statements. When candidates submit their statements, they are produced verbatim on vote411.org. We don't edit at all. And then they're produced in the printed voter guide. Please encourage any candidates you run into, if they have not already, to please work with the League with this important resource for you, the electors of the Western UP. So the state of Michigan candidates and national candidates voter guide will be in the Daily Mining Gazette on Monday, October 7th. And the local League of Women Voters guide will be in the Daily Mining Gazette on Wednesday, October 9th. So again, please exercise your right to vote and do that part for us and for democracy in our community. So again, thank you very much for coming and staying, and I wish you a good evening.
I have a comment. I think the early voting is only at the county, not at the township precinct.
Right,
regular site.
that's correct.
Okay.
It's in the city of Portage, it's at the city hall, but it's at countywide up here. The early voting is only at the location that's designated for any particular county.
Well, that's only in city of Houghton is handling early voting for the entire county.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, that's good.
Okay, so excuse my error there. So the early voting site in the Houghton City Center is housing early voting for the entire county. Actually, I think that is what I said. If you're in Keweenaw County and Barragán County, it's a different location. That's what I meant to be saying, but thank you for the
Yeah, I was
clarification.
confused, so that's why I brought
Yeah,
it up.
no, that's fine. I must not have been very clear. It's county by county up here, as an attempt to reduce the cost and the effort involved in producing the 9 days of early voting. So thank you all for the corrections, for proving that you're paying attention. I appreciate that more than anything. Okay, thank you again. Good night.
I'm gonna go pick something up.